And then, so I've taught mostly elementary this year, it's my first year in middle school, teaching 6th and 7th grade science and math. I am the KEA Education Association president, which is the professional organization of the teachers and staff of KEA School District. We will have, it's been a long day. We had some student appearances today, so a little tired. We're going to have Mr. Sherby speak first from Zone 4, and then he'll be followed by Mr. Wheeler, as well in Zone 4, and then Ms. Bruce, Zone 2. Yes, Bruce 3, sorry. Zone 3, Ms. Bruce, and then we'll have Mrs. Lippman after her. Thanks for coming. My husband's entertaining them, but I forgot to inform her, so I'll be right back. Oh, who knows? He's the public. I think it's on? Yeah.
I believe it is.
Okay, you are welcome to introduce yourself, and then we'll start asking you questions.
Hi, yeah, my name is Brian Sherby, and I've lived in KEA for the past 7 years. Been raising 4 kids. We have 2 younger ones, 5 and 2, and then our 2 older ones. Actually, one just graduated from KEA this past year and moved to LA of all places. And then we still have another one, 17 years old. So,
Personal motivation and vision for seeking a seat on the school board?
I mean, mainly to give back to the community that's given us as a family so much. We've enjoyed living here and seeing our kids grow up in the school system, and we want to help support the excellent teachers. My wife and I have had very good interactions with teachers over the years, and want to be able to help support them in their mission, educating the students. And we want to see them succeed once they leave the school district. And just this past year, like I said, our son graduated and, had a great experience, and the KEA school system was partially responsible for, enabling him to be successful when he did graduate. So.
What specific experience? Last time the microphones didn't work, and apparently it doesn't work, so sorry about that. What specific experiences with the KEA School District inform your perspective and would make you a strong contributing member of the board?
Well, as previously stated, we have 2 kids that have been a part of the school system from grade school until all the way through high school, and we formed a lot of meaningful relationships during that time with the faculty and other parents in the system, and I believe that gives us a little bit of insight into the struggles that some parents may face while raising their kids in school and all that goes into that. I believe that having been involved with the school system since grade school, middle school, and high school, that does give me an insight to be able to experience what other parents may be going through and have insight into what some of the teachers are going through as well.
Thank you. From your perspective, what are the district's most promising strengths and the most significant opportunities for growth?
I believe that one of the best opportunities the KEA School District is giving is the career technical education program. Just the people that are able to take part in that are getting such a jump start in life, and Swan not want to go to a four-year school, they can get a jump start on going to a trade school or learning a trade, which right now business is booming, so it's a great opportunity for those kids. I think that's a great thing this KEA is doing. Also, one of our kids went to Initial Point this past year, and that was a great experience for us as a family. Really helped Blake kind of catch up, and he was struggling in a couple of areas. And so I think just the variety of opportunities that this KEA School District is providing, kids that are in maybe different, kind of different parts of their life or have different goals, I think KEA is doing really good at that.
How might the board effectively support administration and staff in addressing critical areas like student attendance, discipline, and overall mental health?
I think we can help by setting a clear vision, adapting policies that recognize the link between emotional wellness and academic performance. We need to prioritize funding for those areas and for health professionals and counselors to meet the needs of those students. I think that's important. And promote a culture of attendance and not minimize when students do miss school. It's a part of their education is showing up, and we want to make sure that they prioritize that. When discipline is needed, it's important to do it in a way that supports the student and also makes them or lets them know that they need to make the changes that we're requiring them to make. Another important aspect of that is I believe teachers have a right to come to work and be respected, so I want to see that, and I believe everyone does, so I think that's an important part of it too.
Would you campaign to help support and strengthen morale among our dedicated teachers and staff?
I promote policies that provide teachers and staff the opportunity to shape the classroom instruction. I think it's important to recognize they're the ones in the classroom and they should be a part of that decision-making process. They're the ones that are teaching the students every day, and I believe they should have direct input into that. And I think we do this by, it's important to recognize that they're the ones that are in the classrooms and they're the ones that are part of the outcomes for the students. So I think we need to recognize the teachers that are doing a great job of having successful outcomes in the classroom, providing opportunities for their professional growth, and focusing on providing the salaries and benefits that keep good teachers in our school district.
Thank you. How can we ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to a high-quality education and truly equitable opportunities?
I think it's important to provide the funding needed in each of those areas based on the need that is required that year, or we'll evaluate it each year. But I think one of the most important things is investing in early childhood education. I think if you read anything about education, you'll know that in any socioeconomic class, the most important thing is to get them in school and ready for formal education at an early age. And so I think as long as we're providing the ability and the funding for that, the students should have a great opportunity to be successful.
How do you see the board prioritizing and supporting the unique needs of special needs students, English learners, and gifted learners?
Well, once again, it comes down to funding. You have to fund the things that are important to you. And I think that these are all important. You have to allocate the resources to fund each of those particular areas. And I think that we need to support specialized training for the teachers that are going to be providing that training to the students, or rather teaching them. I think including families in the decision-making process of each of those areas is important because they know their children. And I know that for us, an IEP was a great way. For those of you who don't know, it's an individualized education plan. And one of our children was on one of those from grade school all the way through high school. And I can tell you that it was very helpful. But that takes extra energy from teachers. And so we have to make sure that we are not only providing the resources, but we have enough teachers to be able to provide those services. Because what I would hate to see is teachers taking on extra responsibilities when we don't have enough already, or the classroom sizes are getting big, and then on top of teaching their classes, they have to, after that, go to the IEP meetings, and just become overwhelmed. So I think it's important for all of those to have enough teachers to facilitate that and not overwhelm the teachers that we do have and make them feel overwhelmed.
What are your ideas for strengthening communication and building bridges between the board, our parents, and the broader community?
Yeah, I think the most important part of communication is one that's often overlooked, and that's just listening. Sometimes we're quick to speak, and I would come into it with an open mind and want to listen to the challenges that are unique to families and administrators, and take that into account before making a decision. I think it would be good to maybe have informal meetings where you can meet with all of the stakeholders, families, teachers, board members, and just talk, not necessarily have an agenda, but get to know each other and see the challenges do face families.
Thank you. As we look for a new leader, what qualities and characteristics do you believe are essential for our next superintendent?
I mean, the most important is integrity, personal integrity. I think that we seek that out of any leader, and we should. A strong relationship builder. He's going to have to be able to bridge the gaps between a lot of different stakeholders. That's important when you're in that kind of position. And I think somebody that prioritizes student learning and achievement is what you want in that leadership position, because he or she is going to be the person that is making very important decisions in the lives of a lot of different people. Another ability would be, of course, sound financial management, being able to take a budget and allocate it to where the resources need to go.
Thank you. How do you view the appropriate balance between the board's role in setting policy and providing oversight and the administration's need for autonomy in day-to-day district operations?
I think it's important to understand that they do have different roles, and with the same goal in mind. The board should be setting broad strategic policies and provide oversight, and the superintendent administration are tasked with the daily operations in the fulfillment of that common goal. So the board can set strategic goals, but it's up to the administration to accomplish it. And I think the board's job is to empower the superintendent and the administration to accomplish the goals that we all have, which is students graduating successfully, prepared to graduate, and feeling empowered to accomplish what they want to. And that's the end result we're all looking for, is to see students go out into the world, achieve what they're wanting to do.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you would like the public to know?
Just that I will work with whoever, should I be elected, I will work with whoever comes to the meetings and has a stake in their children's education in the community. It's not a political thing to me. It's whoever comes in should be afforded the right to have a say in the education of their children. So thank you.
Mr. Reno didn't put my stool up for you, so sorry. I can't see over the podium there.
It adjusts a little bit. We'll be good. Big crowd.
If you want to just introduce yourself, and
Sure.
then we'll ask you some questions.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Freddie Wheeler. I grew up here in CUNA, kindergarten through senior year. I did have a 2-year hiatus in Nevada. I came back here because I couldn't graduate from Nevada, so I came back my senior year to finish. I'm joking. I could have graduated in Nevada, but I just moved back. I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are in the KEA School District. The other 2 are too young to be in the district. I do construction. I'm an attorney, and I have a pest control business. That's probably the most interesting stuff about me.
Personal motivation and the vision for seeking a seat on the school board.
Sure. You know, with kids in the school district and kids that are going to go through the school, the CUNA school system, I mean, I have every intention of staying in CUNA. This is where I grew up. So I want to make sure that it's a place where my kids have a good experience. Currently, I have 2 kids that are, one of them's at Indian Creek and one of them's at Ross, and they're on different sides as far as how they do in school. I've got one that school comes naturally to her, and it's been a breeze for her and for the teachers, and the teachers always give us good feedback, and they say, "Oh, we love your daughter." And then I've got another daughter on the other side that the teachers love her because she's lovable, but school doesn't come naturally to her, right? And so we've had that experience with the schools where we've been involved on both sides of a student that excels and then a student that maybe needs some extra help. And I think as a community, if we don't step up and take initiative and take ownership for what's going on in our schools, and we just default and just hope and pray that things work out, you get what you plan for. And so I'd like to be involved so that my kids and your kids have a good experience and that we have the right people saying the right things.
What specific experiences with the CUNA School District inform your perspective and would make you a strong contributing member of the board?
I think I answered that with that other question on accident. I'm invested in the community. And ultimately, I care about what our tax rates are. I own several properties in CUNA that are subject to taxes. I care about how our funds get used. On the other side of that, though, I care about what type of education my kids get and what situation they're put in and what resources they have and what teachers are attracted to come and teach in CUNA. And I recognize that there's a balance.
From your perspective, what are the district's most promising strengths and the most significant opportunities for growth?
I think in elementary schools with my kids, I've had an incredible experience with the principals and the teachers in general. The administration has been really good to work with. And I think generally we have incredibly talented staff in the CUNA School District. I think the challenge is making sure that as parents and as a community, we give them the support and take the initiative and take responsibility for our own kids' education as well, and don't just assume that it's the teacher's problem now. So I think the strength is that we have the capability to offer an incredible education and to attract really talented teachers, and we have a community that's growing. When I was a kid, I used to shoot I live less than a mile from where I grew up now, and I used to shoot my .22 from my house, and now that's not the case, because our community is growing and changing and evolving, and I think we have incredible opportunities to embrace that growth and those change and do it in the right ways. But that's also going to be, probably here in the next question, that's also going to be one of our challenges, is how do we accommodate that? How do we set resources for that, besides just crossing our fingers and hoping that everything works out?
Yeah, please don't do that. Thank you. How might the board effectively support administration and staff in addressing critical areas like student attendance, discipline, and overall mental health.
I had a meeting with the superintendent, and I think our attendance sounds like it's incredible. I think it's over 90%. And I think that says a lot for getting kids to school, right? And just making sure that they're there. I think the school board plays a unique role where it's a volunteer position, and you're a liaison between the community and the administrative staff. And in that role, you have access to not only the information, but also you have access to how those decisions get made, and you have a say in certain things. And I think in helping the schools perform what really matters, which is educating our children, we need to make sure that the community understands what's going on and what the challenges really are. I think if we get all of our information from KEA Must Know, and base our decisions as a community and as a school board off of what we see on KEA Must Know, we might not get the full story, and it might be an emotionally charged issue that we can use logic to address and to come to a conclusion. And I think that's the role that the school board should play. I think the school board should be able to take the emotion out of those types of situations and help not only the administration, but the community realize what the real issues are, and then come to a logical conclusion that maybe emotionally we disagree with, but it's just the right answer because it's the right answer.
What initiatives would you champion to help support this and strengthen the morale among our dedicated teachers and staff?
Gosh, I had incredible teachers when I went to KEA. I didn't feel like I really had any teachers that were downers. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be a teacher, because I think you have 30 or more students, depending on what age level you teach, and you've got parents of those students, and so you're bombarded with a myriad of personalities, people that are upset for things that are outside of your control. And I think the key is to give the teachers the foundation that they need to be successful, and recognize that ultimately that foundation really is our community. If our community is involved and invested in how the school's doing, if we're accountable as a community to the school, I think that sort of cuts both ways. Then we can hold the school board or the school district accountable for what's going on in the schools. But when neither party or only one party wants to be accountable, that's when we run into issues. And so I think really just fostering a relationship of accountability from both teachers and the community, and then the teachers would feel like they've got the resources and the community to back them up when there are legitimate issues, and that it won't turn into an emotionally charged argument that's maybe taken out of context.
Thank you. How can we ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to a high-quality education and truly equitable opportunities?
Sorry guys, I thought there were only 5 questions, so I should have kept those answers short. That's a challenge, and like I said, I have kids in both camps. I have a daughter that excels, and we struggle to make sure that she's challenged. And I have a daughter that is behind, and we struggle to make sure she gets the extra help that she needs, both at home and at school. But I think it goes back to accountability. As parents, I don't blame the teacher for my daughter that struggles. We've had good interactions with the teachers. We've addressed issues that we have with our daughter that struggles, and we've put together plans, and we've had an incredible experience from the teachers giving us feedback and support and solutions, and even improvising a little bit. So I think the key there is making sure that as a community we're involved in it, especially as parents, that we're involved and that we communicate with the teachers and tell them what's going on. Just throwing more money at a problem might not be the answer. And even if it is, if we simply throw money at it and expect it to have, a gifted and talented program for the advanced kids and then a special program for the kids that need to get caught up, if we're just throwing money at it and not taking responsibility, we're probably not going to get the results that we wanted anyways. Sorry, I jumped ahead and did your next question too.
That's okay.
We can skip it.
What are your ideas for strengthening communication and building bridges between the board, our parents, and the broader community?
I think that goes back to, sorry, I've rambled a little bit and I've touched on these things. I think it goes back to, as a school board, we just have to, I hear a lot in the community about there's issues with transparency. And I think one of the issues with transparency is even if the community has the information, but we don't explain what it means, it can feel like the school isn't being transparent. And maybe to some degree that's the real issue, is that we just don't understand what's being portrayed or what those numbers actually mean. Or if we really don't know the information because the school hasn't provided it, then to know where to get it and then to let the administrative staff know, hey, here's an issue, this is what the community wants to know. And then again, it's that accountability. That'll cut both ways with the community and with the administration.
As we look for a new leader, what key qualities and characteristics do you believe are essential for our next superintendent?
I don't know if half a white eyebrow is one of those qualities, but I might have nailed that one, if that's in there. I don't think it is though. But I do think that we need a superintendent. We do need a superintendent. I do think that we need a superintendent that understands the balance between what the community wants, what the students need, and what our budget will allow. And I think there's some really hard calls to make. But I think that's what we need in a superintendent, somebody that's in a position to make those types of calls, not just financially, but as far as the overall how to run the school and how to run the organization, the high level things, and somebody that's okay with taking feedback from the community and implementing it into the schools. Or if there is feedback from the community that something's an issue, to address that and not be afraid to have some pushback from the community, so long as it's a reasonable conversation and not something that's emotionally charged. And I think it's an incredible skill set. I don't know that I have it, but I hope that our superintendent does have that.
How do you view the appropriate balance between the board's role in setting policy and providing oversight and the administration's need for autonomy in day-to-day district operations?
I think everybody just needs to stay in their lane. I think the board needs to know exactly what their role is and the key things that they're in charge of, and be held accountable for that. But the board also needs to have teachers and staff and administration that stay in their lane and are held accountable for their responsibilities. That's an ideal environment. A lot of times we stray from that because we get worried about these emotionally charged issues, or sometimes there are our own personal issues that we're upset about. I don't think there's very many adults, and especially teachers, that want to be micromanaged. And I think if we set the expectation that here's your lane, here's your responsibilities, and if there's an issue, then we can address it as a board. I think that's the way to go about it. Don't micromanage until there's a problem that actually veers into the school trustee lane, and then it becomes a school trustee issue and not a school administration issue.
Thank you. Is there anything we haven't asked you that you would like the public to know?
I've probably talked way longer than you guys wanted me to, so I don't think
Actually,
so.
not at all. Go ahead and talk for more.
You don't want to do that. I don't have anything else to add. I've had an incredible experience in CUNA. I would be excited to serve as a trustee. I don't think that Brian or I are on total opposite sides of the spectrum. I think ultimately it comes down to what's best for our community, and I think those are the types of decisions that whoever gets put in as trustee needs to be able to make those calls and needs to be able to analyze large amounts of information and communicate that to the community and be that liaison, and then also but have a backbone to be able to stand up for issues that matter and say, no, this is a critical issue, we need to address it and not just put it off on the back burner. But again, that backbone needs to cut the other way too. And when there's an issue that's not a school trustee issue, you need to be able to say, hey, I'm not sure why we're wasting time. Well, first of all, it's volunteer time anyways, right? It's a volunteer position. But let's focus on the stuff that matters, that actually moves the needle, that's within our scope. And I hope that's what the community wants in a trustee. Definitely, if I'm elected, that's the approach and perspective that I'll take.
Along much quicker. So, Mrs. Bruce is not here yet, so we'll go ahead and have Mrs. Littman answer some questions for us. Thank you. See, she needs the stool too, Mr.
I
Brenda.
know, I need this little, I need this something big. Can everybody hear me? The lights are pretty bright.
Every year when I have to do my whatever with all the teachers and stuff, it's really tall. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Brenda Blitman. I'm running for the School District Zone 3 in CUNA. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I thank everybody for coming tonight and the KEA for putting on this event. I think it's really important to have the public dialogue as we decide who's going to be on our school board. I've kind of included my bio in my comments, and so I'll skip the bio over time, and then we'll get questions.
Could you share your personal motivation and vision for seeking a seat on the school board?
Thank you very much. I'm really committed to all of CUNA's kids, and I want to support their success. I want to support policies that prioritize student learning and ensure that the CUNA School District's resources, facilities, and staff are all aligned toward providing those services so that our kids can graduate and be amazing people. I've got deep connections to the CUNA community as a child, as a parent, as a business owner. I'm a community volunteer, and I'm a taxpayer. And those connections, I think, will really help strengthen the alliances that we have for our kids. I also have 30+ years of business and financial experiences, which I think will really help the CUNA School District trustees fulfill their duties in the board planning roles that we need to do in the long-term strategy. I want to help drive decisions that are both financially responsible and prudent for the taxpayers, but are still focused on the future. In my vision, everybody, teachers, administrators, bus drivers, parents, community members, elected officials, we all work together to support public education for CUNA's kids. And from a big picture perspective, student success equals community success.
Thank you. What specific experiences with the
CUNA School District inform your perspective and would make you a strong contributing member of the group?
Thank you very much. As a child, I attended Indian Creek Elementary, and then I went to Ross Elementary, and then we carried our desks across the field to what was the middle school, which is where the 4th Street Gym is. And then I went to CUNA High School, which is now the middle school. So I have childhood experiences here. As a parent, my kids attended Indian Creek, Ross, Hubbard, T, the middle school, and the high school. And my husband, Dan, who I've been married to for almost 35 years, taught for 25 years in the CUNA School District at Indian Creek, T, and Silver Trail. And then for 6 years, I taught business computer applications, accounting and business math at CUNA High School and Initial Point High School. So over my lifetime, I've spent a lot of time in CUNA schools. To prepare for the CUNA School District trustee election, I began attending the CUNA School Board meetings about last September, October, on a regular basis, and then I participated in these capital planning meetings this past spring. And this month, I went and toured the schools that are in the Zone 3, which is Reed, Hubbard, Silver Trail, Fremont Middle School, CUNA High School, and Swan Falls. And I asked questions of the building leaders. How is student learning impacted by our schools being at capacity? How can the school board members better connect with parents? And how can a school board trustee better support student learning? And so I would say, because of my many connections with the CUNA School District and in the community, I believe that I can be a strong contributing member of the CUNA School District trustees. These experiences are going to frame my perspective and my decision making.
Thank you. From your perspective, what are the district's most promising strengths and most significant opportunities for growth?
I was really impressed with the CUNA School District's opportunities for concurrent credits. I took a look at the website, and it's pretty impressive that 78% of CUNA's, and I'm a numbers person, 78% of CUNA's 2025 graduates took at least one college credit, and over 50% of the graduates completed the equivalent of a full semester of college. That's pretty cool when we can have kids leave our high schools and having college credits and be ready to experience college, or whatever their career is going to be. But it's nice to have those college credits. It doesn't matter if you're going to college or you're just going to a different career, you've got college credits. The career technical education programs are amazing, providing kids with career-ready certifications. The FFA, band, choir, health occupations, organizations have always been strengths for CUNA, and they provide these technical opportunities and leadership opportunities for CUNA's kids. I got an opportunity to look at the Lego Lab at Hubbard, and the partnership with Meta is great. I think they said there was like 35 Lego League teams that were going to be competing this year. I think those are really some compelling and amazing opportunities for CUNA's kids. And I really feel like the staff is aligned around student achievement, and they're using data to evaluate their progress. And so I think that's a really positive thing as well. I do see opportunities, specifically in planning for facilities. Based on the subdivisions that have been approved by the city of CUNA, that CUNA School District could see 1,000 or more kids in the next few years. And to me, strategic planning, especially for facility needs to be an ongoing process. We should be doing it all the time, not just waiting for an event. Oh, we're going to go on, and now we're going to have an event and have a few meetings. And so it should be an ongoing process, and that's what I would really like to see happen. And the district needs more defined plans to provide learning spaces for CUNA's kids, because there's going to be more kids in CUNA, and we need to provide spaces for them to learn. In addition, I see opportunities for better connecting with the CUNA community and parents. I think we could really build on the parent universities, which have been really well received, and we can build on relationships with our CUNA Chamber of Commerce and the CUNA City of CUNA officials.
Thank you. How might the board effectively support administration and staff in addressing critical areas like student attendance, discipline, and overall mental health?
average. Some of these questions were really hard, so I appreciate you guys asking them, and I appreciate the opportunity to answer them, knowing that they're really hard questions, and I think this is one of the ones that we're not going to have all the answers to. Because of my experience as a classroom teacher, I really understand how important it is for the school board to support our staff and administration in policies like student attendance, discipline, and overall mental health. And for me, student attendance is one of those policies or one of those issues that's a really early indicator of a student who is not going to be doing well. And part of this comes from my experience as a human resource consultant. Like when we work with employers, one of the first signs that an employee is not engaged is they're not there. And so when a student is not there, they're not engaged. And I'll give you an example, a story when I was teaching. One semester I had a student who was in class the very first day, and then the student was gone for days 2 and days 3. That seemed really odd. So I called the student's parent and I said, hey, the student's not here. And it's only the first week. Most of the time people are like, oh, don't worry about it, it's only the first week. But I knew that if this kid wasn't in school, they weren't going to be successful. So I called the parent came in, we met with the administrator, met with the counselor. The kid hated school, didn't want to be there, lots of stuff. And we, the parent and this counselor and the administrators came up with a solution that the child should go to Initial Point. And so they got enrolled in Initial Point, school just started, there wasn't a big lapse. And then I didn't hear anything about the student, didn't know anything what happened, and then I happened to be at Initial Point's graduation 3 years from then, so that's a year early because it was a freshman. 3 years later, I happened to be at Initial Point's graduation, and lo and behold, that student that was hated school and wouldn't come to school was the valedictorian at Initial Point. So it just shows that if you can get kids in a different environment sometimes, they're going to be successful. But it took somebody like pushing some buttons to make that happen. And I'm a mom, and so I can kind of tell that we need to push some buttons. But I think we need to support our teachers and our administrators so that there's more opportunities for us to figure out what's going on behind the scenes so we can get kids in positions where they're successful, working with their parents. So the short answer is that the board can focus on the policy making and resource allocation goals to support critical areas like school attendance, like discipline and mental health. But this is another area where parents and community can really lean in to help together. It's going to take all of us. And a bright spot, because I'm a numbers person, because the school funding formula is based on attendance. If we can improve some of these attendance, we actually get more money from the state. So there's a silver lining in there.
What initiatives would you champion to help support and strengthen morale in our dedicated teachers and staff?
So, as you all know, the board's role is in policy making and resource allocation. And I would look to the district's administration and building administrators to explore specific ways to support and strengthen morale. But from my human resource consulting work, I know that connecting your work to a higher purpose is important to a person feeling like they're fulfilled at work. We all feel like we have to do something important, and we're more fulfilled at work, and then we have higher morale. And the KEA School District mission is empowering our students to lead productive lives. And to me, this is a pretty powerful mission statement. Like, we go to work, our teachers go to work every day, and you're going to empower your students, you're going to help your students to lead productive lives. That's why you do it. And we need to remind each other why we do this work, and it's all about helping our kids. And when I was a teacher, it was always nice when the board members stopped by, toured the building, participated in activities. As a teacher, you felt valued and noticed, and that's kind of silly, but you did feel valued and noticed as a teacher when the board members took the time to see what was going on in your building. And I think that when I visited the schools, the principals were very open, and they said, yeah, you should come and be part of our activities. And I think I could establish a regular cadence where I could participate in school activities as a way to be involved and informed. And the other thing that helps with morale is teachers and staff are always learning, and teachers are usually motivated by learning. They like to learn, that's what they're good at. And we need to continue to offer high-quality professional development around best practices. We all like to do our work if we're trained for it and we know how to do it and we can do it well. And so I think we need to really work on those things. And my last morale booster, I'm always excited when technology works. That increases my morale.
We get the TV to work today. It wasn't the TV, it was not, the ViewSonic was not working today. How can we ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to a high quality education and truly equitable opportunities?
Another really hard question that I don't have a real simple answer to. I was really impressed when I went through the AVID model. That was something that was new to me. It was an acronym I didn't know. It means advanced by individual determination. And so basically it's helping students understand that they're responsible for their own learning and helping them set goals and figuring out ways to be more successful in school. And I think this is a great strategy. It is learning tools that help students organize their thoughts. We use reading to remember. And honestly, in my work with adult learners as a human resource consultant, we use some of those same strategies with adults. I mean, these are the strategies we use to be successful at our jobs. And so it's great that we're starting early with those kind of strategies. The board's role in addressing high-quality education is around policymaking and resource allocation. And it's helpful to have data and metrics around where the current gaps are in providing high-quality education and equitable opportunities. Like, I want to see a kind of a gap analysis about where we're not meeting the necessary high-quality education. And then we need to set up ways to address those gaps, and then we need to set up ways to monitor to make sure that we're meeting them. I know that the district uses the IRIs and the Idaho ISAT tests, but those tests don't really assess equitable gaps, and so we really can have to look for something else. And as a board member, something that I could do is I can network with other school board members and identify what's working in other schools and see if there's some crowdsourcing of those ways that are equitable opportunities for everybody. It's just going to take a lot of us collaborating together. Oversight of legal compliance required by federal and state laws. So much of my business background is in compliance, and as a school board member, I would support, that the school board follows the law, because that's what we need to do, is we need to follow the law. As a community, I feel like we have a moral obligation to provide education for all students, regardless of their needs. I would look to the qualified administrators, teachers, and support teams to recommend how education is best delivered. I am not a special education expert, and so I would look to somebody else to see how to deliver that. Some personal experiences that I could share that might frame your perspective or my perspective. As a parent, I found the teachers to be really open to me when I went in and talked to them about enrichment activities. I was a science mom for 2 years. When my kids were in 3rd and 4th grade, I was the science mom. And so I worked with the teachers. We had science kits, and I got the science kits all ready so that the teachers could deliver science education using the kits when my kids were in 3rd and 4th grades. And so the teachers appreciated my help, and my kids got to have science education, which was their #1 reason to be in school, was to get science education. So I worked with the teachers to do that. And that was during the years when we had really low budgets and there was no nothing. So that was my contribution to making sure my kids got the enrichment activities that they needed. As a parent, I advocated, and it took 2 years. My son had certain educational goals, which meant that he had to hit a certain math class when he was in 6th grade. And I could have gone to Treasure Valley Math and Science Institute, but I said, no, I'd like to stay in CUNA. So I talked to the administration, so I talked to the the principal, I talked to the superintendent, and we went through the options, and what it came down to is there was like 20 kids in my kids' class that all met the criteria to be in this advanced science class. And so we were able to bring an advanced science class to the 6th graders at that school because I advocated for it. But not in a way that said, you have to do it, but it was like, help me figure out how to help my kid get prepared for the education that he wants. So that was my perspective.
Thank you. What are your ideas for strengthening communication and building bridges between the board, our parents, and the broader community?
Great question. I believe in the mission of the KEA School District. It's about empowering students to lead productive lives. And I think it's a mission that our parents, our community, our city leaders can all support. I want to live in a community that values education and helping kids to be productive adults. I mean, CUNA's always been that for me. CUNA's was that for my kids, and I hope that it's for somebody else's kids now that my kids aren't here anymore. When talking to the building leaders in my zone, they suggested that I could better connect with parents by being active in the school community activities. And the ask was just to be engaged, to let people know that the board members care, and I can do that. I've talked to Mayor Steer, and we discussed some ideas to connect the KEA School District and the city leaders so that we can share our common goals, because the city leaders want to have good schools for our kids too. I mean, we all want good schools. And as a board member, I feel like I could make some connections there that maybe haven't been happening in the past. And I support transparent communication processes where parents, patrons are engaged and involved. And I really think that we all realize that there are very limited resources for public education, and we're going to have to all work together to make this better.
We look for a new leader. What key qualities and characteristics do you believe will be essential for our next superintendent?
And another question that has a lot of answers. So, to me, expert communication skills is a key quality for this position. The new superintendent needs to be able to draw people together to accomplish some really hard things. The district has many different stakeholders, and they're going to need different types of communication and different ways to be engaged. Another key quality is the ability to develop leaders. We expect our superintendent to be that person who can develop all the leaders within the district, because we have 1,000 people in the KEA School District. So we need somebody who can make sure that we're getting our leaders developed within the school district. I expect the new superintendent to be an experienced educator with some finance and HR experiences. I think it'd be really hard to be in charge of 1,000 people, and it's a $52 million budget without some experiences with money and with people. If you go to the school district's website, there's a super long list of all the qualities that everybody would like to see in the board within the new superintendent. It's highly unlikely we're going to find somebody who has every single one of those qualities, but I really appreciate the fact that people submitted comments and were involved in the process. And so I really appreciate that, and I'm sure that the school board will use that information in their decision making.
Thank you. How do you view the appropriate balance between the board's role in setting policy and providing oversight and the administration's need for autonomy in day-to-day district operations?
Thank you. And since this is my last question, I'm going to say thank you again. I'm super grateful for everybody's involvement in interactions and the KEA for providing this opportunity. So, I believe the board's role is to set policy, provide oversight, and make decisions about resource allocation. This role requires that the board members read the packets, ask relevant questions, and help establish goals and objectives for the administration. The trustees make decisions as a board, and individual trustees do not have the authority to engage in day-to-day operation. The board works together as a board. The administration is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the district, and this is literally their job. I mean, they're responsible for the day-to-day operations of the district. That's their job. So like my experiences on other boards, the trustees are responsible for setting policy and goals and determining how the administration, and that's generally the superintendent, is evaluated and held accountable. And it's a good way. We need to hold each other accountable in a good way, have our goals, hold each other accountable, and the board needs to hold the superintendent accountable to the goals that have been set for their day-to-day decision making. The superintendent makes the day-to-day decisions, the administrators make the day-to-day decisions, and there's accountability for those. And so we're all on the same team, so to support the mission of empowering students to lead productive lives. The board administration have different roles and responsibilities, and it's important that these roles are honored so that everybody can be productive.
So there's actually one more question, but is there anything we didn't ask you that you would like the public to know?
I think I said a lot. Thank you.
Welcome, Mrs. Bruce. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Kirsty Bruce, and I am the current trustee for Zone 3 for KEA School District.
Could you share personal motivation and vision for seeking the seat on the school board?
So I am running to keep my seat for the current trustee position for Zone 3. I ran in 2021 during the time of uncertainty due to COVID and the ideology being brought into the district. I was one of the many parents standing up for the students and education. It was important to have a trustee that listened and valued parents, education, and the morals and values our community stands on, which is why I run. My motivation and vision for running again is to continue the work that I started 4 years ago to bridge the gap between the district and the parents, making sure that the parental voice remains here and is heard. Parents are the biggest advocates for their students, so it's important to continue to keep that voice noticed and support parental rights. To focus on educating students, to make sure KEA School District is the best district to attend. I want to ensure that students are well educated and parents want their students to be in our district. As a board, we established a goal for bringing up math scores, so my goal is to continue to work with the district and admin to close the gaps. As a parent myself, I've been able to get a first-hand look inside the classroom, which gives me a different perspective on how to work on these goals. I also set up online tutoring for secondary so that students have access to help at home if they need extra support, and to establish a superintendent that aligns with our district and community.
Thank you. What specific experiences with the KEA School District inform your perspective and would make you a strong contributing member of the board?
I am already a strong contributor to the board and the KEA School District. Since I've been on the board for the past 4 years, I have 4 years of board experience. I understand the budget and how to be fiscally responsible, which allows me to focus on the pressing issues moving forward. Being a parent gives me insight into what's happening within the schools. It's a unique perspective that gives me the opportunity to learn from and share with admins and other trustees. I am trustworthy, reliable, dependable, and willing to do the work that needs to be done for our community and our district. I am transparent with what's going on, and I have a moral and value compass that aligns with the community. You know what you're getting with me as a trustee.
Perspective, what are the district's most promising strengths and most significant opportunities for growth?
The KEA School District has many strengths. Some of these include the admin and staff that run and support our district. We have so many staff and teachers that love KEA and enjoy their jobs. We have a community that works together with a strong parent involvement. We are all like family, willing to help one another, support each other, and be involved the best that we can. We have a strong working board that makes effective decisions and collectively works with the superintendent, admin, staff, and parents to make KEA District run efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. How might the board effectively support administration and staff in addressing critical areas like student attendance, discipline, and overall mental health?
The board effectively supports admin staff in several ways. By establishing policies that promote attendance and mental health, admin is always finding ways to encourage mental health awareness. An example of this was this past May, the seniors of the graduating class of 2025 were able to be a part of the J Foundation. The J Foundation is known for their boot check, which is teaching the students how to mentally check on their friends and loved ones, and so they taught them how to be mentally aware, and they also received a pair of cowboy boots to leave with to remind them to mentally check on their friends and their family. We send out constant communication with families in our district to promote engagement and partnership. Professional development, ensuring teachers have the proper resources and tools to support students. As a board, we collaborate with the superintendent, admin, and school leaders to implement initiatives while offering strategic support. We, as in the board, and I trust the leadership around us to develop and reinforce the critical needs of our students. We are always looking into programs and grants to see where we can add more support. With discipline, we can ensure stronger accountability by holding our schools accountable with district policy. I know bullying is always a topic that always comes up. And that also impacts mental health. So ensuring that the appropriate party is disciplined and supported by district standards.
What initiatives would you champion to help support and strengthen morale among our dedicated teachers and staff?
A few ways to continue to do this are prioritizing teachers and staff's well-being by promoting work-life balance and advocating for teachers and staff. Boosting recognition and appreciation, which we do by celebrating milestones and achievements. We highlight teachers and staff and support staff with appropriate events. Investing in professional growth, which is always important for teachers. Ensuring competitive compensation and resources, because we want to have the best staff with our students. And enhancing communication with our teachers and staff.
Thank you. How can we ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to a high-quality education and truly equitable opportunities?
As a trustee, I ensure that every student in this district has access to a high-quality education and equitable opportunities. In the KEA School District, we provide equal opportunity for education, and we strive to fully commit to make sure each student thrives in our district.
How do you see the board prioritizing and supporting the unique needs of special needs students, English learners, and gifted learners?
As a board, we ensure that all students receive the support that they need. Specific to special needs, English learners, and gifted programs, we provide the programs tailored to their needs through 504s, IEPs, and language development plans. If they need to be changed or monitored, we rely on admin and staff to make changes. If we are lacking somewhere, the board is open to hearing ideas on how to improve in this area, because that is always welcome. And we want all our students to be successful, and so input is always accepted as a board, because that's how we know what areas need to be looked at and changed. And then at Hubbard, we just created a new ERR program this year specifically for special needs to ensure that everyone has the proper education that they deserve.
Thank you. What are your ideas for strengthening communication? Strengthening communication and building bridges between the board, our parents, and the broader community.
When I ran in 2021, parental voice was lacking. Parents were not being heard and seen in a way that created transparency and parental involvement. In a time and society that was being impacted by COVID and social ideals were being brought into schools, I've been able to bridge the gap between the parents and the school district, remove social ideas so that they do not belong in education, and became the parental voice for our students, parents within the school district. Parents have been able to reach out to me with issues so they can be addressed. Sometimes I've been able to do that on my own, and other times it requires a whole board, but I did it. For example, a few years ago, there was a parent who reached out to me about a play that was being took on here, and they asked me if I could attend to go and attend, so I did. And the play did not follow district policy, so I went to the superintendent, we discussed it, we were able to make changes and hold the staff accountable. That is what being the parental voice represents. A parent is the biggest advocate for their students and deserves to have a voice in their child's education. As a parent myself, I firmly have the student's best interests at heart because any decisions I make impact and affect my family and my student as well. The past couple of years, we have worked on being more transparent as a board with the community, building better communication with parents in all aspects of our district, including the budget and numbers, how we spend taxpayer money. This has led to more resources that we have set up committees and ways for parents to become more involved and to be a part of the process to help make decisions in our district and our schools. We've expanded opportunities like CET, early literacy, pre-K, and kindergarten programs because early education matters, and so do trades. Not every student will attend college, so we want to continue to strive to improve education and transparency so parents remain involved and feel like they are included and making an impact in their students' education. I have advocated for being the bridge between the parents and the district and will continue to bridge that gap and be the parental voice our community needs and desires.
As we look for a new leader, what key qualities and characteristics do you believe are essential for our next superintendent?
Well, there's definitely a lot of key characteristics for a superintendent. So I just named a few. Experience in the role and good leadership skills, knowledge of budget and finance, how to manage staff and supporting staff, understands community involvement and awareness of our community morals and values, fostering parental input and involvement, building foundational and trusting relationships with the community and staff, has a strong background with conflict and problem management, curriculum, supervision, human resources, team building, special education, bonds, levies, grants, closing achievement gaps, and improving student performance, excellent communication skills, and the knowledge of working with the board effectively and efficiently, being open to managing growth and learning. These are a lot of skills, and there are way more skills that I would love for our superintendent to have. Will we find the person who has everything? Probably not, but this is how we're going to look for the right person to lead our district.
Thank you. How do you view the appropriate balance between the board's role in setting policy and providing oversight and the administration's need for autonomy in day-to-day district operations?
When it comes to setting policy and providing oversight, one of the roles of the board is to establish policy. It is a duty of the board, which is why it's important to have a trustee that aligns with your morals and values as a family and a community. How you establish policy is determined by this compass. Autonomy is established with admin by the board when the admin meets with the attorney to make sure all the policy that is brought to the board follows the law. And then as a board and then as admin, we work together to discuss the policies, what needs to be changed, if anything needs to be changed, and what that looks like for the district as well as the community. We discuss it together, we ask questions together, and then autonomy is given to the board by the admin to finalize the policy. It's a working relationship between the board and the admin.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you would like the public to know?
I think that covers everything. I just High-level closing statement. Keeping me as your trustee means that I will continue to be the parental voice for the CUNA community and continue to bridge the gap between the parents and the district. I'm committed to making sure all students have access to the best education because that's what school should be focused on, educating the students and growing our school districts sustainably and fiscally. It's important to vote for the school board candidate who embodies our community's heart, morals, and values and champions parental involvement. The decisions we make as trustees shape our children's education and future. Thank you.
So thank you for coming out. I know that it seems like there's not a bunch of us, but a few of us make differences. My family has lived, I grew up in Utah. My parents were from California. We didn't really have a base or like a heritage, I guess. My husband grew up in Boise and Marcy, and now we can probably say that we are a second generation of CUNA. Our children all went through the CUNA system. We did the Hubbard, moved to Ross, back to Teague, into the middle school, all the good things. And now my grandson is starting kindergarten at Hubbard, so it's in kindergarten at Hubbard. So CUNA means a lot to me. I'm proud to be a homeowner. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here tonight. I appreciate the high school staff, Lori and Robbie, for opening this up for us. And it was last minute, but I appreciate them doing that for us. And our tech guys always, even though we complain about tech, they are amazing. So thank you so much.